Hello everyone and welcome to our Unified Modeling Language lecture series. I am Nadia Patel. Let us get started with our lecture. So in today's lecture we are going to study the third diagram of Unified Modeling Language, which is the class diagram. We have already studied two diagrams of UML, which is the first use case diagram and the second was state machine diagram, which were the behavioral diagrams of UML, which is the ones which give us the behavior or the dynamic nature of any system. But the class diagram is the one which is going to give us the structure or static behavior of a system. So let us get started with our lecture. So points we are going to go through in today's lecture are introduction, use of class diagram, basic elements of class diagram, which are classes, objects and attributes, representation of a class, notations used in class diagram. So as the name is suggesting, the class diagram is something which is completely based on object-oriented programming concepts. We are computer students, so we are already familiar to what classes are, what objects are, what instances are, what are different types of classes, what are relationships between them, what are different properties of object-oriented programming like encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance or generalization and so on. So we are just going to apply our concepts in terms of unified modeling language notations and get a working diagram for our system. So class diagram is a static diagram and can be used for visualizing, describing and documenting a system. Now visualizing, describing and documenting, are these terms recalling something? These are the terms which we had already studied in the definition of unified modeling language. So the basic of unified modeling language was the diagrams should help us to visualize, to describe and document, and class diagram is one such diagram which is helping in visualizing, describing and documenting a system. It is not only describing the structure of an application, but it is also helping in building executable code. So this is one differentiable part, or you can say differentiable point, which is differing or making class diagrams stand out different in the crowd of the diagrams. So like the rest of the diagrams which we have already studied and which we are going to study, they are just going to give us the behavior or functioning of system. But class diagram is one such diagram which is going to help us write or build our code. So if you are making use of object oriented programming concepts and writing your code, which is again the industry standard right now, this diagram is going to help you to understand what parts of code you should write. It describes systems in terms of classes, objects and relationship between them. It also describes attributes or operations and properties of class and object. It is most widely used to model object-oriented systems. It is the only diagram which can be directly applied in developing systems code. This is a very important point because the class diagram is kept in the structural part, but it is actually helping us to build the code. So it is quite a contrasting kind of a statement. Structure is something which is not going to change. When we say structure or static, it is not going to change. But class diagram is one such diagram which is helping us to build our code. Code can get changed with time, or maybe a requirement comes, or if some requirements gets deleted, but still it is kept into the structural part and we are applying the class diagrams in building our codes. It also gives relationship between classes and objects. So let us go through the basic elements in class diagram which you are already familiar to, because object oriented programming concepts are completely based on class and object. So the first element which we are again going to revise and recall is the class. It is an abstraction that specifies the attributes and behavior of a set of objects. It is a collection of objects that share a set of attributes. Let us go through the second element, which is an object. Entities that are also known as instances. So it is also known as instances. They form the state and behavior of a diagram. And finally, the attributes. Now attributes, we can say those are properties, or we can also say those are operations. So an attribute is a named property of a class which describes the object being modeled. Now this is one example of class diagram. If you want to go through a real life example, we have created a class for car and we have kept 3 objects. So objects of this class are Audi, Nissan and Volvo. Now if you want to apply this description or these definitions to our example in a more precise way, speaking in simple terms, all the 3 objects are type of a car, but Audi is having something which is different as compared to Nissan and Volvo. Volvo can have something which is common to Nissan and Audi, and also at the same time can have something which is different from Audi and Nissan, and same goes with the Nissan. So that means all the 3 objects are belonging to a same class. It is a class, it has created a class, so by default all the 3 might have something in common, but that doesn't mean that all the 3 are same. They can have something which is also different from others. So this is one part which is going to help you while drawing a class diagram. Now this is how you represent a class in class diagram. So you have to just draw a simple rectangle, draw 3 compartments or divide this rectangle into 3 parts. The first part is the class name. Get a relevant name which should actually explain what this class is all about. So this is the class for car, so I have already given class car name. The second compartment, the middle section of our rectangle, should comprise or should have attributes with data types. Now this is very important. Here if you are having n number of attributes, find those attributes which are relevant and important and which we are going to refer or which are going to come further when we are building our code. So right now I have kept all possible attributes, which is the class ID, car ID, car name, car company, car type, car launch date, and the respective data types with their sizes. The third compartment from our rectangle should be for operations, which we are going to perform on these attributes. So the operations can be written simply as function. So right now I have kept add, update and delete functions, but if you want to make them specific and add some more information to it, you can make use of the symbols, which is plus for public, minus or dash for private, hashtag for protected, and tilde operator for package. So this is an add-on thing, this is an optional thing. If you want to make it more precise and perfect, make use of these operation symbols. Otherwise keep it simple if you want. Now how to find these attributes? As a simple term, something which you can directly apply is your form design. If for example you have designed a customer application form where we are going to enter his personal information, we have a form name that becomes the class name. We have our fields, which is customer ID, customer name, customer address, customer's phone number and email ID, and we also have its data type and size. So these are our attributes. Further, we keep a buttons panel which is in the down section of our application form, which has insert, update, delete, exit or cancel. So they become the operations. So this is just for simplicity, but if you want to make it and use class diagram for code, for building up your code, it has to be perfect and very precise, and you should make use of these operations as well. Okay, so this is all about the representation of a class. Now let us go through what more notations we can use in class diagram. So already we have gone through the rectangle symbol, which is divided into the 3 compartments. If you want to show objects which are outside the class or some smaller classes which are going to access your class, you have to make use of only one section of your rectangle. That's it. No need to make use of this big rectangle and divide it into 3 compartments. Just one simple rectangle which is like a text box. So that is the notation, which is an optional kind of notation. The second notation is the normal association, which we have already studied in the use case diagram. The next type is association link. Now this is a type of association, but the association which is popular for not having arrow directions and it is just a simple line. Association link has a arrowhead. The next symbol is for recursive association. As you can see, here is a object. As I told you, you can make use of only one part. So I have made use of 2 parts. Consider it as a class notation. And here is the recursive association, which is something looking like a loop. When we say loop, it is going to take some inputs and have some iterations. So this is that kind of a symbol. Next is the inheritance or generalization symbol, which again we have already studied in the use case diagram. If you are not familiar to the association and generalization symbol, kindly go through the use case video. And finally we have the multiplicity, which we already know from DFDs and ERDs. This is just about relationship, which is 0 to 1, 0 to many, 1 to 1, and finally 1 to many. So that is it. This is all about the overview, or you can say just basics of class diagram. In the next lecture, we will go through the relationships of class diagram and also study how to draw a class diagram. I hope it was simple for you and understandable. Thanks for watching.